we move forward with policy, I would like to see more people brought into that conversation who've actually been incarcerated and arrested and had their children taken and they're lost so much. So on this panel, I would like to include Evelise Correa, Joseph Agitulo, Cody Richard, and I have myself, but I want to include everybody in that conversation because that's what equity is. So I'm going to open the floor for that conversation. I'd like to, talk with Anderson about equity and kind of how you feel about that too.
Great. You felt me chomping at the bit, huh? Yeah, yeah. So, you know, afternoon, everyone. My name is Anderson Curtis. I'm the son of Albert and Rita Curtis, and I say that because, without them, I would not be sitting in front of you here today. Those are my parents who made sure they brought me back to the values that they raised me with. They were my real reentry coaches, and they still are. I remember I took my father, my mother out to dinner before my father passed away, God rest his soul. I said, Dad, I'm so glad I could listen now, da, da, da. He looked at me, he said, guess what? I said, what? He goes, I'm not effing done yet, right? And so, he still talks to me. So let's get down to it. Like, the word equity, I'm 62 years old. I'm as old as the Voting Rights Act. Right? Let's put this in perspective, okay? I got arrested in the 90s, came out of incarceration 6 times over 20 years, in and out, last one 9 months, coming out of '07, going to Gateway to become a licensed practicing nurse until what? I hit a collateral consequence. Bang. You're never going to get a license, Anderson. Had to shift to addiction counseling, right? And so continue to grind, even with that, very erratic employment. So erratic that I couldn't pay the final $800 to get my associate's degree until 2015. I completed the education requirements in 2009, right? So, standing in front of you today, I was a part of the Cultural Equity Plan in New Haven, and in that launch, I talked about what I know. I don't know equity. I know inequity. That's been my experience with it. Just like we say the criminal legal system, because we did not experience any justice in that system, because it's just been us. So with this whole social equity, let's go back to the policy where the Social Equity Council was created, right? You're talking about freeing people for cannabis, right? Let's free the money. Let's free up that money, right? That the Social Equity Council has yet to bring to those communities that were impacted by the war on drugs, right? Because we're not even deemed to get the money directly. We got to go through a pass-through organization, right? Why is it so difficult to connect the dots, right? Why are our children struggling in schools that are crumbling? We got over $30 million sitting in the fund, right? So, being here at the Capitol, I've learned you could be right or you could be effective, right? And every policy is connected to what? A fiscal note, right? And so how do we get this money into the hands of the people who, I'm not going to say deserve it, but it could kind of level the playing field, right? Because I need a crate. You all know the picture where everybody's behind the fence and little kids on, he ain't got no crate. That's me. I ain't got no crate. She ain't got no crate, right? So how do we get to the crate, right? How do we create a system where there's not people coming in from out of state, just like with the housing, and taking advantage, right? How do we protect what we got? And so we have to do that together because what? The word community, let's not forget about that part, right? That social equity thing was about for communities impacted. I walk by it every day. Every day. And it's not getting any prettier. It's not. And so, this is not a game, right? But see, we're here to bring what? Our reality into this process, right? Because it's our job, it's incumbent upon us to let them see how we live, to bring them a window into our life so that we can begin to what? Talk about what's really going on. Because they're going to talk about what they want to talk about. Trust me, And so when cannabis was made legal, I remember that there was also some expungements that happened. Right? All the cannabis-related crimes were expunged at the same time cannabis retail sales were made legal. Do you think that was a coincidence? Right? And so there's a game played way above our heads, y'all. Right? But see, we have to learn what we know, right? Because I want to talk about another distance, the distance this young lady right here, my friend right here, Christina, right? She talked about she's usually outside. We're in the parking lot, but she's in the building now, y'all. Let's give it up for Christina. Because this is our house, right? And this is the growth she's made as an advocate. I support her from day one. Me and Gus went out to God knows where we go, Vernon, 7 years ago. Gus is like, what? I'm like, yeah, let's go to Parents for Pot pancake breakfast. All I heard was pancakes. You know what I mean? I'm hungry, you know? But anyway, I got to know her. I got to know this lady right behind me right here. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, look at us today. Together we can do more, y'all. Right? But we have to bring our truth, our experience, because what? At Smart Justice, we talk about your experience is what? Your power. We need more people in this building to talk about what they've been through, whether they're relitigating it or whatever they are. They have an opportunity to talk about it. Right? But let's get to the money. Let's get to what's really going to solve it. Because, you know, we live in Connecticut. It's not cheap to live here. It's not cheap. Right? But we all deserve a shot at that crate. So I want you all to think about what it's going to take for you to get your crate and get up so you can see over the fence, so you can begin to get in the game, come to the Capitol. Let's make some noise. I love you guys.
And I think we're a little